Hello there, people. I am back for another video. Today, I am reviewing the first Bad Boys, and I gotta say, this one is a classic. This one, sorry I didn't do a video Monday or Tuesday. I just couldn't, and definitely couldn't do one yesterday, so I just figured I'll just do Bad Boys today. And then, because I figured since I'm gonna be doing Bad Boys 4, the plan with that one is whenever it's on the site, I'm hoping it's up by like maybe Saturday or Sunday. If it's up Saturday, I'll try to review it Saturday, and then if not, then Sunday. But the plan is with that. But I figured, especially considering I'm surprised I haven't done the first one yet. I haven't done any of the Bad Boys, so I figured why not go back and do the first one the week the new one comes out. So, but the first Bad Boys is just such a simple film. Like the fact they got the perfect duo with Will Smith, like, and Martin Lawrence, prime, like both of them in their prime. You know, both had successful TV shows going on. You know, Martin Lawrence with Martin and Will Smith with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And the fact that they brought them together and just made a perfect, in my opinion, this is like Lethal Weapon would probably be number one. Rush Hour would probably be number two, but this is definitely top, like, buddy cop films of all time. The first not Lethal Weapon, I meant to say the first Bad Boys is just such a simple film, and that's what makes it work. Fouché is a good bad guy. You know, you have good bad guys. The dynamic between Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. T. Leone's best role, easily. I love the Florida setting. You know, I love the opening scene where the way they introduced Marcus and Mike, it was like the perfect introduction. You know, they're faking because they're about to get robbed. And then, you know, the reveal that they're cops. And then the fucking Marcus with like the fucking Passenger 57 reference. Like, got me, dude. Wesley Snipes, Passenger 57. So good. And the simplicity of the story, like, you know, Fouché hires a cop named Dominguez, who's like a former cop, robs, because Mike and Marcus did a big heroin bust, but all of it got basically stolen. So they are given basically by internal affairs 3 days to find the heroin, but also keep it quiet, so it's like not on the news. So Mike hires his former girlfriend. She's like basically I don't know, not a stripper, like an escort. She's an escort. And along with T. Leone, who's also an escort, go to Dominguez's house. Things go bad because Dominguez actually stole some of the drugs, but because he didn't make some of the deal, Fouché basically kills the girl and Dominguez, but T. Leone manages to escape. We get then while this goes on, Mike, you know, gets taken out. So Marcus has to pose as Mike. And because of that, Mike has to play along and poses Marcus. You know, there's a scene like where Mike basically has to stay at the house, or Marcus's house, with the family. And yeah, very much kind of a little bit of a Lethal Weapon because, you know, Mike, they have different dynamics. You know, Mike is like very much, he's a rich kid, but so he doesn't do it for the money. So he just does it kind of for the thrill of, you know, the action. And then you got Marcus, who's like a family man. It's a great dynamic. And I even love the Chief. I think you might remember he's Cypress from the first Matrix movie. I love him in this movie. The scene where he's playing basketball, he's trying to make a shot, and he's like just going off on the boys. It's just such a perfect film. Like the first not Men in Black, first Bad Boys is just such a great film. Don't get me wrong, I love Bad Boys 2. Like, I think Bad Boys 2 is great, and it's almost as good. But to me, the first one is just something about it. It's just the simplicity of the story. Fouché was a great bad guy. You know, nothing amazing or anything, but he was simple. He worked for the movie. And yeah, just even like the side guy, you know, fucking Marcus's wife is pretty funny. She has some funny lines. Like, it's kind of great, like, just all around, like, perfectly casted. And yeah, it's Michael Bay. This is Michael fucking Bay. That's the crazy thing. So I know we like to trash Michael Bay as a bad director, but he's directed some great movies. This one, and then a year after this, he would do The Rock. So yeah, he has done some good movies, but yeah, the first Bad Boys is just such a great film, and I wish um I saw this in theaters. I saw the second one and the third one. Third one I will review too. It's all right. It's not amazing, but I think from what I remember really liking it, or not really liking, but I remember liking it. Like for like thinking, especially compared to some of the shitty revivals we've gotten. Bad Boys 3 was an okay one. So, but Bad Boys 1 is straight up a perfect film. I'd almost give it like a 10. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I'd give this film a 10. It's a or at least a 9.5, like 9.8 or something. Like it is a great film, great score. I love watching it. It just brings me back to when I first watched it. It's just such a great film. Like I could watch these, like obviously all the Lethal Weapons and Rush Hours. It's like you can watch those like just all three of those franchises back to back. It's just so great. And the fact like he got like Will Smith while he was still doing Fresh Prince of Bel Air and Martin. And this is the movie, Martin Lawrence with, Martin, with the Martin show. So both of them had two big shows. Arguably kicked off both their careers, especially Will Smith, because after this, he would do Independence Day a year after this, then Bad Boys after that, Men in Black after Independence Day. Like, he would just have hit after hit, but I would argue this is the one that started it. And yeah, so this is the movie definitely that for Will Smith and even Martin Lawrence, like, because he started doing more films after this, especially into like the late 90s, with like Blue Streak, National Security, stuff like that. But like Will Smith, this movie like astronomically lifted him because, that he finished, Fresh Prince of Bel Air in '96, but then also Independence Day. Then obviously going on to do Men in Black. It's just, dude, this is a movie that did it though. So I think this is a great film. I love watching. This is one of those I could just watch all the time. So I actually think Bad Boys so far is a pretty good franchise. The first two are great, and then the third one's still pretty good. So anyway, tomorrow I'll figure out what I'm gonna do. I'm either gonna do some random slasher, or I might just do that screenwriter article I've been saying I'm gonna do. So I'll see. If I can't like find a random slasher review, I might just do the screenwriter article tomorrow. And then Friday I will be doing War for the Planet of the Apes, which I cannot wait for. Because it's been nice, at least with, granted, as much as I did not like Kingdom, it has been nice going back, through the Caesar trilogy. And then I'm also gonna, next week, we're gonna do the original Planet of the Apes from I think it was 1968 when it came out. So, fuck it. Eventually, I'll probably stop at the first one for now, but I'll eventually go back and do, like, some of the sequels to the original. So, anyway. Let's get into, Bad Boys. So the movie starts. You mentioned you get that very funny opening scene. The way they introduce perfect introduction of Marcus and Mike. Like they're just arguing, and I love when movies do this, where like it already feels like you feel like they've known each other for a long time, and they really pull off. Even though this is the first movie, we're just being introduced to them. The fact that it really feels like you feel like they've known each other for a long time, and like there's stuff that has happened before this movie, and they really make it believable. I know it's a movie like Bad Boys, which is supposed to be somewhat be like our world, right? It feels lived in still, and that's a good way to do it. That's a good way to do storytelling. Dominguez, gives the information to Fouché, and Fouché and his men basically do the heist. So they even shoot a decoy to distract the police. And Internal Affairs basically gives them 3 days to do the investigation to find it. The heroin and all that, or yeah, it was heroin. I was thinking it was meth, but I think they said heroin in the movie. They will go to, or they will be basically reassigned, and they'll be shut down. And you get some basically just funny banter between the teams. Like pretty much, that's kind of what you get. Like I love the scenes with the chief. The chief is such a fun character, man. I love that actor. It's like from everything else I've seen him in, he's pretty good. But I just love his dynamic with the group, the boys. So you could tell he loves them, obviously, but he's gonna be a hard ass, And I love so they go to the gym, and he goes to his ex-girlfriend who's an escort, and basically asks her to look out for anybody who has big, a bunch of money and all that. So she goes to Dominguez. They set up a meeting. They go to his house, but he ends up taking some of the drugs, which he wasn't supposed to. Fouché finds out, arrives. Ends up shooting Marcus's ex along with Dominguez, basically to hide, like evidence and, basically any kind of loose ends, basically. But one of Fouché's men notices T. Leone's there because she went to go upstairs. So she was just kind of hiding while the shooting was going down. We get a good shootout. She manages to jump into the pool, escapes, calls the police. But because she only knows Mike because of her friend, she basically says she's only going to work with Mike Larry. And while this is going on, Mike gets some information about a madam who basically is her boss, his girlfriend's or ex-girlfriend's boss. I mean, I even like the scene where he finds out she's dead and he sees her body. You just get no dialogue. You just get Marcus just putting his hands on him, comforting his friend. No dialogue. They don't say anything. You just get Marcus putting his hand on Mike's shoulder. Just a little bit of I love when movies are able to get a lot said without saying anything. That is the perfect way to do it. And I think they really nail it. Mike ends up getting knocked out because he finds the madam dead because she was already killed by one of his men, or Fouché's men. I don't know if I'm saying his name wrong. I could be. It's a French name, so I don't know. But he ends up. So because of that, Marcus has to pose as Mike. So the chief basically tells because he wants to get the witness, and he wants to basically the precinct to not get shut down. So Marcus goes posing as Mike to the witness's house. We get a big shootout because before obviously she attacks him because she doesn't believe he's Mike. So, but Marcus manages to convince her he is Mike. So she's about to go with him. Fouché's men arrive. We get a shootout, but they manage to get away. And she refuses to go to witness protection because she doesn't trust the police. And she's only trusting Mike because she's a friend, or she was an ex, and she knows her friend knew him, basically. And it makes sense. You combine, it's believable, right? Because Dominguez set her up. For all she knows, she doesn't know if a cop is why we were here. A former cop, but still. So Marcus ends up taking her to Mike's house to get a pretty funny scene with the person who's checking in at the hotel is pretty funny. Or Mike's apartment, which is a little weird. I've never seen it, but it's probably it is a nice apartment, so maybe that's why. Because there's a doorman, to check in, which is weird because it's an apartment building. You don't usually do that, but it makes sense. So especially because it's playing that Mike's rich. You get some funny scenes of Mike trying to talk to Marcus's kids. You get some banter back and forth. You even get some scenes of, Marcus wearing Mike's clothes. That's like the best thing of this whole movie. Above anything is their banter. Even the scene I probably should have talked a little bit more about when they go to look for a witness, but they end up finding the witness murdered, the first witness. And you have like Marcus just being so scared of the body about to puke, and then you get the way that they cut the scene, and you got Mike saying, "Oh, let's go get some burritos." It's a pretty funny movie. Like, it's a legit funny movie, but it's even like perfectly comedically because there are some serious scenes. A little bit like later on in the film when, I don't think the film sets it up, but you could tell like when T. Leone gets taken, you could tell like like that scene where Mike's like chasing the car, and you could tell like that serious moment, like, or obviously the scene I just talked about when Mike finds his girlfriend, sees his ex-girlfriend's body. It's like there is serious moments in this movie, so they knew how to like balance humor and the comedy well. So you get a lot of and obviously the scene where the Chiefs playing basketball, and because Mike's just coming back. He just got knocked out, so he's coming back and realizing what's happening, and then you got the scene where the masseuse of fucking shows up, and Marcus kicks her out, and when Mike finds out, it's such that back and forth between those two. She massages shit. It's so fucking funny. And the little just veiled shots, like when, Mike's like, posing as Marcus, talking about like, "Oh, you got this fucking dog on my fucking couch." It is like, the comedic timing is fucking great. Because even throughout the film, you got basically T. Leone thinks Marcus or Mike, because all she sees is pictures of Will Smith. She thinks Mike's gay, and that Marcus is his like gay partner. And this is back when you can actually joke about that kind of shit. Because if you joke about that now, especially because you get weird as, "Oh, you're just using gay as a pejorative." Like, it's a joke. This is back when you could actually joke about shit, Like, the comedic timing is just so well done. Like, I laugh every time, even if it's like I've seen this movie a lot. This is definitely like Men in Black's probably number one, but this would probably be like number two in terms of most like rewatched Will Smith movie. Like, I rewatch this like daily, every couple of months, along with like Men in Black. Like, I could watch this one all fucking day. And the second one too, but definitely the first one. Like, this film is just like perfect comedic timing. Like, even like the paranoia because he hears a call. Oh no, because he also has a conversation. This was after there were some people. Mike and Marcus just busted somebody. They go back to Mike's house, and there's a little bit of a conversation between T. Leone and Marcus, and she's basically talking about Mike. Well, as Marcus, talking about like how much he takes charge, and he eventually gets more and more jealous because he's at his house and he calls his wife, and he hears a call and he thinks it's like something inappropriate, but it was something innocuous. And they have a pretty funny, fight between Mike and Marcus. Great fucking film. But then, they because there's a scene where she IDs who killed Mike's ex, and then they go to like a club that's owned by Fouché. Marcus is nearly killed in the bathroom because one of the hitmen basically, or Fouché's men, recognizes Mike or Marcus. So it's Marcus, and then T. Leone nearly shoots Fouché, but then misses, and then we get kind of like a little bit of a shootout in the club, and then we get a big chase scene in the car, which is filled with like, I don't remember what the gas was, but it's a gas that could blow up, basically. Like propane tank filled, basically explosives. Not explosive, but could explode. After that shootout and it gets on the news, his wife realizes, because there's a scene where he has to tell his wife he's going on vacation, but it's just so he can do this job. But she thinks he's cheating because he sees T. Leone and he assumes, because she answers the door. This is after they go to JoJo, and I love that scene with JoJo where they because JoJo lied to him earlier. It is a funny fucking scene, dude. Where Mike acts like he's about to shoot Joe. It is fucking hilarious. I love that scene. It is. This movie is just great. Even the scene when his wife figures everything out, and so T. Leone walks away because she realized she's been lied to. But at this point, Fouché, because of all the commotion, manages to take her. Marcus manages to basically convince his wife to stay with him because she realizes what's going on. Because she's about to walk out, and then Marcus saves her because there's gunshots, and then we get an awesome scene of Will Smith trying to chase the car, and then they get shut down. But the chief still lets Marcus and couple other cops work together to do this, to do the deal. Fouché's about to do the deal. They manage to get to the deal. Big shootout. Fouché and most of his men are taken out. Fouché gets arrested initially. He gets shot in the leg. And they arrest him, but Fouché grabs one of the cops. Kind of like if you remember Lethal Weapon. So it's a little bit kind of similar to that. Grabs a cop's gun. Or either that or I think he had a secret gun. One of the two. And then he grabs it. And then Marcus and Mike shoot him to death. And then we get a funny scene where because there's a scene where Mike and T. Leone get handcuffed together, and Marcus just leaves. He's like, I gotta go have sex with my wife, and the whole gag is like, yeah, I just need to get with my wife, and he just leaves. So they're handcuffed together. It's a pretty funny gag towards the end. I love the first Bad Boys, man. It's it's one of my favorite Will Smith movies to watch, and with this, I don't want to harp on that. We know Will Smith's a cuck now. We know that. But I don't want to harp on that too much in these videos. I might mention it again, obviously, when we talk about Bad Boys 4, because that potentially could play into, when people are talking about, will the slap play into Will Smith's box office? And you get people trying to defend him oh, you're mad about... It's not just the slap. People don't respect Will Smith as a man. It's not really... The slap is the smokescreen. We lost a lot of respect for Will Smith because of Jada Pinkett. The shit we find out about her, and the fact that he's just defending her and staying with her. This is why we've been calling him a cuck and all this. That's more why. It's not really the slap. I think the slap is part of it, because to be honest, it was caused by all that shit. But so I'll talk about that definitely with the fourth one, because I do wonder if that's going to play into the box office. But in this specific one, and the second one, I'm just going to talk about how great of it is a film. Because Will Smith is great, along with Martin Lawrence. Their dynamic it's like Lethal Weapon, right? I don't think Lethal Weapon would have worked if Mel Gibson and Danny Glover did not have fucking chemistry. Same thing with Rush Hour. With Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker. The chemistry between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence is palpable. To where I think it even carries over in the third one. I think if you had to ask me, one of the big positives about the third one, their chemistry is still great. It didn't feel like they missed a beat. Because 2020, 2003 to 2020, that's 17 years. 17-year gap. And Will Smith and Martin Lawrence still had chemistry like they did in the second one. So it's really good, and it's way better in the first one. It is perfect, their chemistry in the first Will Smith. I mean, the fucking fucked up. The first Bad Boys. It's the perfect dynamic. Easily one of Will Smith's best. Definitely one of Martin Lawrence's best too. The fact if either of them didn't work, this film would not have been good. And I think that's what really makes it. Fouché is a good villain. Nothing too much about him. He's just a French, drug dealer. He's trying to make a deal. And, the movie's basically 4 days, essentially. Because they mentioned throughout the film, they have 4 days until a deal. So, it's just, I don't know. I just love it. This is obviously not going to be one of those reviews I'm doing really any dissecting, because the first Bad Boys is a really simple film. There's really nothing much to explain. So I love the first Bad Boys. I watch it all the fucking time. So definitely, I would probably give this film like a 9.8 to 10 out of 10. This is a perfect film. Like everything about it. So tomorrow, probably I might just do the Screen Rant article. Just keep it simple. We'll just do the Screen Rant article tomorrow, and then Planet of the Apes, War for the Planet of the Apes on Friday. So, anyways, guys, I'm gonna call it here. First Bad Boys is great. Next, it'll be interesting because I know I'm technically gonna be doing Bad Boys 4 on the weekend, or at least I plan on to, and then it's gonna be weird because the next Tuesday I'll be back to doing Bad Boys 2. But yeah, next Tuesday will be Bad Boys 2. I just didn't do it yesterday, but next Tuesday for sure will be Bad Boys 2. So I can't wait to watch that one, because Bad Boys 2 is another one that I think was a perfect sequel. So, and especially considering it came out like almost 10 years later, there's a little bit of a gap, because Bad Boys 1 was like 95, and then Bad Boys 2 was in 2003. So, anyways, guys, I'm gonna end it here. Screen Rant article tomorrow. Yeah. All right, y'all. Talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.